Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines with Living the One Light. And today I am going to be talking about the full moon we have coming up in Cancer on December 26th or 27th, depending on where you are in the world. And I happen to have with me someone demonstrating Cancer energy, like amazing. She just climbed on my lap and started purring and kneading and if you're wondering, do you have any doubt what Cancer energy is? It's her. It's her right now. A cat purring on your lap. Happy, cozy kitty cat purring. That's definitely Cancer energy. So perfect, because I don't think she's ever done this while I've been recording a video. So it's pretty funny. So I am really excited to record this video because I was just doing my prayers and got told I kind of had a sense of what probably I was going to be speaking to about this full moon, because the energies stood out to me pretty easily, and there were already things I was thinking I would want to talk about. But then when I lay down to pray, again, very Cancer, lay down and kind of half sleeping, half praying, and came to me, kaboom, what they're wanting me to share. And and then I prayed into my full prayers, and then they basically just confirmed that. So I'm really excited because it's a complex set of energies and ideas that I want to kind of slowly dive into. But yeah, I think maybe it'll be enjoyable for you. So, and it adds to a lot of some of the things I've been saying. So it was a really helpful aha for me, for me personally. Made a lot of things click. All right. So first, I want to show you the astrology, I guess, of the actual full moon. And then I'll dive into these themes. And just to give you a preview, the biggest theme I really want to be talking about is the fact that this full moon, of course, is going to be the moon itself will be in Cancer, the sun will be in Capricorn, and the sun will be with Ixion, Quawar, and Pholus. And Heather Ensworth also did a video on, her video is actually on the solstice and the full moon, and in there she talks about some of those, the Ixion, Quawar, Pholus energies, and I definitely highly recommend that video. Also, she talks about it from a slightly different angle than I'm about to, but they totally fit. So, and I love the way that she describes the Ixion story. So again, I highly recommend, if you want to get her perspective, go there. And I resonate with what she's saying there. So so what I'm going to be talking about is a set of energies having to do with both the ancestral healing I feel us being supported in. That's a very Cancer Capricorn thing, but especially with those particular planetary bodies on conjunct the sun in Capricorn, and then also a theme with the Cancer energy, which goes along with the ancestral healing, which is the theme of re-wombing ourselves. So I'll talk more about all of those energies in a minute, but just real quick, let me show you what's going on in the actual chart, just to contextualize. And sometimes I feel called to show the chart and sometimes I don't, and for whatever reason right this minute I do. So I will show it to you, and maybe it will spark something in you also. All right, so the full moon itself will be at 4:33 p.m. on December 26th in Pacific time zone. So I'm here in California, on the coast of California. And here, for those of you, in the same time zone, same basic geographic area, actually, this is kind of unusual. The moment that the moon is exactly opposite the sun will actually be just as the moon is about to rise. I don't tend to see that very often, so that's really interesting. So it's going to be here. The ascendant of that chart is actually 0 degrees of Cancer, which is the, you know, the solstice point. It's the summer solstice point here. And so opposite the time of year we're in right now, actually, which is of course the December solstice. So this is the June solstice point is going to be the on the horizon, which is just interesting. But as the full moon, the exact full moon is about to come over the horizon, with Vesta coming over the horizon just before the moon, and then Estrella coming over the horizon, and Sirius following the moon. You know, just really, really sacred, beautiful set of energies there with the moon as the moon is rising and the sun is setting. And then with the sun, just like Heather Ensworth talks about in her video, is Quawar, Pholus, and Ixion. And I'll talk a little more about, you know, each of those energies in a second and what is calling to me about all of it. But just to name a few other really beautiful points I see. Number one, Mercury is still going retrograde at this point, and in this retrograde, Mercury will have passed over the the galactic center a total of 3 times, and this will be the second of those 3 times that Mercury will pass over the galactic center. So I talked about that. I talked about the galactic center in my last video, the new moon in Sagittarius video, and and just so on a basic level, what I feel in this Mercury retrograde when it's passing over that galactic center 3 times is, you know, it's one of so many energies right now supporting us to really to be deeply dropped into source itself and to ourselves as source itself, and to be getting our data, our communication, Mercury, straight from source itself. Another energy that's very, very, very strong, actually, on this moment is particularly strong because Mercury is on the galactic center, is that right now and through all of 2024, Neptune essentially is going to be squaring the galactic center. And actually, at the time of this full moon, Mercury and Neptune are in an exact square with, again, Mercury on the galactic center. So, and then Varda, the Kuiper belt object Varda, who I love, love, love. She's, you know, among other things, she is a goddess of the light, and she's a creator goddess of the light, and so much more there. But she's just, to me, very high frequency energetic, and she is currently on the galactic center. So in 2024, right now, and in 2024, Neptune is going to be squaring the galactic center and squaring Varda, who is on the galactic center. So again, it feels like this almost like angelic energy, angel light energy being held. It's like I see it, like if I'm seeing almost like volcanic eruptions, except it's not volcano, it's like the volcano of light. I see these light eruptions just moving through and opening up through existence. That's what that energy feels like for me. So that's happening now, and certainly this Mercury is highlighting that. But even when Mercury isn't on the galactic center, which you know, Mercury moves fast, so it won't be for super long. Neptune and Varda will still be highlighting that galactic center point and holding that space for us. Super, super powerful. And then another really interesting thing astrologically about this full moon is that Jupiter is trining the sun, and then therefore sextiling the moon. And at the same time, Saturn is trining the moon and sextiling the sun. So Jupiter, which expands, Saturn, which provides, which often is thought of as contraction, but I don't necessarily think of it as contraction. It's more like I think of it as bringing form. So sometimes it can help slow things down so that the right form can come into time and space. Um, they're both very much in play in this full moon. So we have an energy helping us to expand, and yet an energy helping us come into the right kind of form. And actually, Jupiter is a very big, very, very, very big player at this time because it is stationing to go direct. It's going to be going direct just a few days after this full moon. And so it's on this full moon, it's already in the energetic of that stationing energy, where it's going to be stationing at 5 degrees of Taurus. And so it's, I mean, it is an expansive energy for sure. And yet it's stationing to go direct in an earth sign. So when I feel the energy of Jupiter in Taurus stationing to go direct, it's also a kind of slowing down and reminding us, it's helping us to ground back as beings of earth, if that makes sense. So Saturn is very much about being embodied in the structures that support us here as beings of earth, and yet it's in the sign of Pisces. So it's also bringing form to things that we might think of as very ethereal. And at the same time, Jupiter, which is this very expansive energy, is in going direct in Taurus, stationing direct in Taurus. So again, it's like Taurus, I mean, Jupiter and Saturn both have this combination of energies in this full moon chart that are they're both supporting us to be of our bodies, of the earth, but our body, they're supporting us. Okay, the full combination is, if you take the moon in Cancer, which has to do with our emotional body, the Jupiter stationing to go direct in Taurus, which has to do with our physical, but I'm being really simplistic here, but our physical body, Saturn in Pisces, which has to do with the structures of things in general, but in Pisces, I feel like it has to do with the structures of spirit, structures of how we can support even our etheric bodies. And then the sun in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So I feel like this, I'll speak more to this in a minute after I'm done showing you this chart, but just the astrological energies I see and feel supporting us to supporting every aspect of our being and all of our bodies, right? So we have it's supporting our physical body, our emotional body, and our etheric body, energy body. Yeah. And there's so much more there. And maybe I'll feel called to speak to more of the astrological energetics in a second, but just yeah, we could always go on and on and on naming so many different things, but those are the ones sticking out to me at this exact minute. So let me stop sharing. All right. So now to drop into, what does this mean? What is the spirit world wanting me to share? I think the way I want to start is by talking about something that arose for me when I lay down to pray about it, and I was, curled up and and I realized, oh, I'm in fetal position, right? And I realized what that sparked for me was that's very Cancerian energy. And what it reminded me of suddenly was when I worked in the child welfare system. I was a therapist for a long time, working with children who are either who are in some way involved in the child protective services. So a lot of the time I was working with kids in foster homes or who were being adopted. And so a huge majority of the work I did was in supporting foster and adoptive parents, and actually also biological parents and, grandparents who were taking care of their grandchildren because XYZ reason. So what I was doing most of the time was supporting caregivers to care for children who were highly, highly traumatized, children of all ages, from newborn through, early adulthood, even actually. And of course, a lot of these parents also had very similar, the biological families especially, but even foster, and lots of people have trauma. Okay, most people have trauma. So I was working with trauma, and I was working with children who were acutely traumatized. And what I would see over and over and over and over again, and what anybody working in that field has seen many, many, many times, is that when the children were in a home where they felt safe and where that safety was felt consistently and, really predictably, over time, what would begin to happen is the child, especially if the child was somewhere, I don't know, up to a particular age, like around 7, 8, 9, 10-ish, what I would see over and over and over again was the child in various ways would be attempting, without even consciously realizing, attempting to regress. And a lot of the time, I would warn the caregiver that this was very likely to happen and that it was actually a good thing because caregivers, if I didn't warn them, would come to me and say, what is going on? So-and-so is suddenly talking in baby talk and wanting to curl up on my lap and, be a baby, etc. And I would, if I hadn't warned them that this was a good thing, they would often be really worried about it. But what I would explain to them, again, I felt like a broken record in this job sometimes because it was the same need being displayed by these kids over and over and over again. And it's this wisdom of their body. And she's doing it. She's demonstrating this. Although I don't think she's very traumatized. Can you tell me? I don't think so. Anyway. Yeah. But what their bodies and what their beings knew that they needed on a neurobiological level, and probably on lots of other levels, is that they needed to, in a sense, return to the womb. Because, when there's so many layers to this, and so I can't like fully give a class on all of this, but on a basic level, when we are in utero, of course, is when our nervous systems are being created. And if you know much about, how babies develop, we develop in the womb. We start out, of course, curled into the womb position. What is that? What I just used the word. I'm blanking on it now. I'm in kitty cat la la land in my brain a little bit here. So, yeah, so we start out our neurobiological development in the womb, curled in fetal position. That's the word I'm looking for. And so our nervous systems, when our nervous systems are traumatized and are trying to come back into healing state, what our bodies know instinctively to do, especially when we're young, if the child is like 3 years old or 5 years old, or even, like I said, 7, 8, 9 sometimes. And I actually think even for adults, our bodies instinctively know that this is what we need in some way, is the body needs to come back into fetal position, not necessarily physically into fetal position, although that sometimes is definitely needed, but it's that our our nervous system is needing to go back to the beginning, go back to a reset place where it can click with how we started, where we started, because it's at the beginning. Then, you know, if we're able to go to kind of curl back all the way, you know, more and more and more and more into fetal position, and I mean that on a literal level maybe, but really on a metaphorical level, then we're able to click back into the moment of conception. And again, it's not literal there, but I hope you can get the idea. It's so what I would see over and over and over again working with highly traumatized kids is that when the caregiver was able to meet the child in that place, not freak out that they're regressing, right? And if they said, I need to be a baby, you know, they would say, okay, you know, I'll hold you, and let them be the baby or whatever it was, like follow their lead essentially, and not get stuck there, not just for years and years decide to be a baby. And actually, I never saw a child who did get stuck in that way, which is interesting. But so the point wasn't to get stuck, but the point was to follow the lead of the child, follow the lead of the body, and allow that child to basically re-womb him or herself. And then if that caregiver was able to consistently do that over and over and for years, I mean, over and over and over again, I would see miracles happen, like complete change, unbelievable healing would occur for that child. And certainly it was because, you know, they felt safe, they were being cared for in a positive way. But I really saw it, I felt it, and I could feel it in their energy system, and I could see it, that they were on a neurobiological level being able to come back into that initial place in themselves where they click in their nervous system, where their nervous system can reset itself and then, in a sense, start over. So, you know, like when we are, again, I'm not going to give a whole lecture on this because I don't have the time, but when we are in utero, our nervous system, our whole body is being shaped. We are the most malleable neurobiologically, actually, in utero. The younger we are, the more malleable we are. And so, for example, people think of domestic violence as not really affecting children who maybe aren't as aware, like babies or babies in utero. But actually, it's in utero when the physiology is the most malleable. So we are being literally shaped from the moment of conception, right? And the same is true for all of us. Okay, so I'm saying all of that. The point is, what the spirit world is wanting me to say about that is that the energy of this full moon actually has the potential to hold us in a really similar way to, it has very supportive energies in a similar way as, you know, a caregiver would be with a traumatized child, like a really positive caregiver. And the truth is, this whole world is very traumatizing. So, like I've talked about in other conversations and other talks, and this is very relevant to the solstice gathering that the free solstice gathering I'm holding on December 21st. And if you're hearing this before then, certainly sign up. You can be there live, but it's going to be recorded and you can have the recording anytime. So even if you're hearing this recording after December 21st, please continue to sign up, and you can have the recording as long as you like. So what the spirit world is showing me is that we, on a collective, individual level, but also on a collective level, there's this need for us to be held, in a sense, to be re-wombed, Cancer, so that we can regress, not like talk as babies, but so that our bodies, our nervous systems, our energy bodies, our emotional bodies can come further and further and further and further back to the point of conception. And what they mean here is, I mean, maybe for you that resonates, that it's your own literal point of conception in this lifetime, but what they're showing me is actually on a bigger level, that the energy of this full moon, and actually even energies coming up in 2024, which I'll talk about in a minute, are supporting us to be held in that the womb of the cosmos. That's what it really comes down to. And when we're held in the womb of the cosmos, and in the womb of even more than the cosmos, outside of the time-space continuum, we're held in existence. That's the ultimate womb of everything and nothing. When we're able to relax into that place, into that state of being, then we're actually able to come back into the moment of conception, which on the ultimate level is source itself, is the light itself, is ourselves as the divine. So in the gathering for the solstice, which actually comes before this full moon, but it's close to it, it's leading up to the full moon, what they're wanting to do, it's going to be a channeled, guided gathering. And what the spirit world is basically wanting to do is to hold space for us to come back into that spark, that self that we are as the divine. And to, as I've been saying in previous videos, to be letting go of the notion of duality and separation. Because just like those, those babies, those children who are exposed to, let's say, domestic violence in utero, their bodies are shaped by, their nervous systems are shaped by what they're experiencing. We all are shaped by what we experience. And in some cases, like a baby whose parents are fighting, in a really severe way, that's more pronounced. But our whole world, even for people who maybe, have had really relatively not all that traumatic life, still our world is very traumatic. So it's filled with trauma. And so our nervous systems have been shaped by that environment. And what we have the opportunity to do now, I mean, certainly the energies of this full moon absolutely are highlighting this opportunity, but it's in the field in general right now and through 2024. We have the opportunity to be held, to be letting go of that, essentially the illusion of division, separation, duality, and to come back to that spark, that conception moment that is the light of unity, that is the divine itself, that is source itself. And to give our nervous system, our energy body system, all of it, to give it the chance to start again, to rewire again. Yeah, and I mean, I've been trying to sort of put this all into words in other videos and in other places I've been speaking. And yet somehow this analogy or this comparison to the work I used to do in the child welfare system suddenly makes it make so much more sense to me, at least. I don't know if it'll help. I don't know if it's helping you, but it definitely made it so clear, that of course that's it. That's what's going on. It's not woo-woo, actually. It's neuroscience. It actually is. Yeah. It's really, really, really exciting and really beautiful. Okay, and then I want to drop into a couple more layers of around the Capricorn energies. So, okay, so a couple of different things. So again, I definitely recommend Heather's video that I will link with this video to hear more. Again, she tells the whole Ixion story, and I won't go into the whole story here. I love the way she tells it, and definitely go and listen to that. And she talks about some of these other energies too, and I love her perspective on all of it. So, but on a basic level, again, the sun on this full moon will be in Capricorn, and with the sun will be Ixion. I mean, super precisely. And Ixion is a god or a figure in Greek mythology who becomes basically the grandfather of the centaurs. And he, in the mythology of Ixion, he basically has a choice to be ethical or not, and he chooses not to be. Very not. Extremely not. So he, to me, and I feel like, and Ixion is a Kuiper belt object, just to name. I feel like all of these Kuiper belt objects, we haven't had a lot of time with them. I certainly haven't had a lot of time with them. So I don't feel comfortable saying that I know what I actually think about them or what they are, what they represent for a fact. I'm just telling you what I personally currently feel when I hear their stories, when I feel into the energies of them, and when I pray about it. But I guarantee that my perspective will evolve and change in the coming months, years, decades. So you're just hearing my perspective in this exact moment with, again, Kitty Cat being exceedingly perfect for this video. It's like, wow, she's so cute. Okay. And yeah, so Ixion in the story, in the mythology, bottom line, he was asked to do certain things that would follow ethics, that would follow, what is just, what is right, what is kind on a very basic level, and he blatantly didn't. So when we have Ixion conjunct the sun opposite a full moon in Cancer, I mean, this is just that energy brings up for me this reality that we do, in a sense, have a choice. We always have a choice whether to be acting in alignment with source, with ourselves, with the divine, etc. And sometimes humans choose yes, and sometimes humans choose no. And it's really easy to condemn behavior that is a choice of no. And I can speak from personal experience of, judging that for sure. I'm sure we all do. Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I definitely do. Okay. And so one thing that feels important to me in these energies when I'm feeling into them is the reminder that we are all of it, and that I wouldn't go to the extreme that we all make choices like Ixion, because our world would probably feel a lot worse if we all made those choices. But in little ways, at least, sometimes we probably each do make those choices that are slightly off from integrity, etc. But we certainly see in our world, feel in our world, notice anywhere we look, pretty much, where people are making those kind of choices, and it's easy to reject them. and to get really mad about them. And, anyway, I won't go on and on about that, but just the reminder for me is we are all of it. It's all within the container of the time-space continuum. It's all within the container of the divine and of source. And it feels better to me, rather than feeling myself even in my own heart, split off certain parts of reality as, oh, that is a really terrible choice and I want nothing to do with that being or that whatever. Not that I never feel that way, because I often feel that way, but I do feel better. It's like a soothing balm, actually, even in my heart, to remember that, okay, it's part of the whole. Okay, so that's Ixion. Then also with the sun is Pholus and Quawar. And again, Heather talks more in depth about each of them in her video, and I've talked about each of them in some other videos also. Pholus is one of the centaurs, and Pholus has to do with ancestral healing. There's so many layers to all of these beings. Okay. Quawar, I'll just say Pholus, in case it sparks anything in you. Pholus also is often associated with specifically four generations of ancestral lineage. But I associate Pholus with just ancestral healing in general and ancestral lineage in general. Melanie Reinhart really emphasizes the connection to four generations back, which I don't disagree with. I absolutely acknowledge that. And what is so interesting, actually, is I'll just give an example of that, is that my own natal sun is natally, so I was born with my sun conjunct Pholus. And I am named after my great grandmother, right? So that's four generations. Interesting. Yeah, fascinating. So I definitely, obviously, don't disagree that Pholus, to me, I would agree, is associated with a four-generational theme of some kind. But I can also say that I also have personal and professional experience noticing that Pholus, for sure, for me, has to do with just generational healing in general, and ancestral healing in general. And then Quawar. And again, this is super simplified, but Quawar is an androgynous god, usually called he, but is actually androgynous, who sang the world into being. So Quawar has to do with the song of creation. And for me, again, I'm the very, very beginning of feeling into these energies. Quawar is another Kuiper Belt object. Pholus is a centaur. Ixion and Quawar are Kuiper Belt objects. So they're Ixion and Quawar are way, 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 way out in the Kuiper Belt with Pluto. So really far away. And they have very long orbits. So Quawar is a god, who, when I feel into that energy, is like a reminder. It's almost like it's like an antidote to the Ixion energy in a sense. I don't want to polarize it like that, but it's like, if Ixion is reminding us of the part of us that, may or may not have chosen, who has this choice of, going down the path of love or the not love path, Quawar is literally the song of creation. It's an energy of, it's that, it's really hard to put into words for me, but if you think of that incredibly high vibrational tone singing throughout all of creation, it's that tone that brings us back to radical, total balance and harmony, because it just is. Again and again, that's, just me at the very beginning of feeling into these energies. I hope that we collectively will, in a really careful and honoring way, continue to feel into those, slowly over time, and not rush to feel like we have the answers, because I don't think we do. But that's just a very beginning sense for me. Okay. So if we then take that Ixion Fullest Quawar energy with the sun in Capricorn, opposite the moon in Cancer, I feel two pieces arising in that. One is certainly there is this tender holding of our own healing. So maybe you're a very rare exception, but most of us probably have some profound hurt in our ancestry of some kind, right? And if we don't in our own personal family, then we do in the collective, for sure. And as we're doing that ancestral healing, which, sorry, let me back up. These energies this year and in 2024 very, very powerfully, very strongly are supporting us to be continuing to do that healing as part of the letting go of the old structures. So in the moment right now of this full moon in Cancer, we have Pluto at the very last degree of Capricorn, because it is about to enter Aquarius on I think it's January 20th, 2024. So less than a month after this full moon, Pluto will be entering Aquarius. And Pluto will then be in Aquarius in 2024 from January, I think it's 20th, until I think it's September 1st, 2024. So it's going to be in Aquarius through most of 2024, but then it'll go retrograde and go back into Capricorn. It'll just peak just a teeny tiny bit back in the 29 degrees of Capricorn in September, October, November of 2024, and then in November of 2024 we will fully move into Aquarius for the next 20 years until 2044. So in right now, especially right now, for the next month, and then also in the year of 2024, we're still in those very, very, very last energies of Pluto being in Capricorn. And I said this actually I recently held an Astrology of 2024 workshop, which is now recorded and available, and you're very welcome to sign up for that if you would like it. But in there, part of what I talked about is that it's really easy to want to just jump ahead and let's just be done with this Capricorn stuff, or this Pluto and Capricorn stuff. Let's just be done with the patriarchy and the old ways and the XYZ, whatever it is we want to be done with. But as we know, at least here on Earth, with our Earth bodies, with our emotional bodies, even with our etheric bodies, but especially I would say our emotional bodies and our physical bodies, our being needs time to adjust. It needs time to change. Sometimes, certainly I have definitely experienced this, and probably you have, sometimes there can be a really instantaneous, massive shift, but even then we need time to integrate. So something that's really beautiful about the cycles of our cosmos is that they are cycles, and they almost nothing is linear in our cosmos. So these astrological cycles all involve cycling, spiraling, and with just a teeny tiny bit of exception, most things go retrograde. Like the sun doesn't go retrograde. Okay. But most of the planets all have a retrograde period. And part of what I feel that doing for us or supporting us in is having times like with Pluto going retrograde and, going in and out of Aquarius, going back into Capricorn, going into Aquarius, and then going back into Capricorn over and over again, is that it's giving us time to adjust. And those outer planets like Pluto move so slowly, and they are supporting us on incredibly deep levels to make profoundly deep changes. But then we get time to integrate it. So again, I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm guessing some of you can relate. We might feel really impatient and like, let's just move on to Aquarius. Let's just move on to Pluto and Aquarius. I understand that. And I'll just name that this is a really beautiful time in this coming year to still be getting held, to be truly on a, thoroughly letting go Pluto and Capricorn, whatever energies, we're still needing to let go of. We're being very, very profoundly supported to be letting go. And the Quawar Ixion fullest conjunction in Capricorn, I feel supporting us in that big time. So it's both we're both having that conjunction with the sun on this full moon, but then in the summer of 2024, the nodes of the moon are going to be squaring that same conjunction of the Quawar fullest and Ixion. And actually, in addition, next summer, when the nodes are exactly squaring that group, Ceres will be the Ceres, the dwarf planet, will be in the mix with those three other beings. And that's a whole other set of energies to talk about. But Ceres is the Earth Mother. And so, yeah, I feel her there, adding into the mix of saying, yeah, here we're supporting you to be letting go of these old ways of being. And here's the divine feminine energy also in it, helping you, because it's Ixion is pretty masculine energy. I think that's pretty undeniable. It's pretty darn masculine. And then Pholus is a masculine-ish, and Quawar is a non-binary, gender fluid, but called he, usually. And so then there's Ceres. So Ceres is the only like truly divine feminine energy, I think, in that mix. But there she is. She'll be right there when the nodes of the moon are squaring all four together. That's going to be really, really, really powerful and really beautiful. And this full moon is like it's like a precursor energy. It's like a preview in a way to that energy that's going to be, it's going to be effective for most of 2024 actually, but it'll be very strong in July, August, September-ish. Yes. Okay. And then the very last component in that the spirit world is wanting me to convey is that when we sit with our ancestral healing and our ancestral lineage, and I personally have been doing a really deep, amazing ancestral healing work myself in my own personal life in the last year. As most of you know, my dad died almost exactly a year ago. And so this whole year I've been having a pretty profound journey with my own ancestral healing, completely changing my life. And it's really beautiful. Really, I'm so grateful for it. And one of the things that has arisen, and I share this, it's a little bit personal and it's a little bit tender for me to share it, but it feels important. So I'm just going to name that I'm doing it with a lot of honoring of myself and what I'm about to say, in service of maybe sparking something for you, or, if it'll help in some way. That I'm honoring, I'm doing it with honor of me and of you, and I'm not doing it lightly. But what the spirit world is wanting me to say about this is that these energies are not only about letting go of what hasn't worked. Super key is that not only does our ancestry hold hurt, it of course also holds incredible amounts of wisdom, love, presence, and it is connection. We are connected through that lineage, basically to the birth of time, essentially. And so in that way, we're also connected through our lineage to the divine, right? So one of the things, here's the part that's a little bit tender for me to share, but I will, is one of the things that I have discovered in my own healing that's been literally has changed my life is I have discovered a relationship with my own, what I would call original ancestor, or one of them at least, and finding him. So it's like a grandfather figure, like my original grandfather figure on my dad's side. He has become such a strong presence in my life, my day-to-day life. I can't even explain how profoundly healing that has been for me. And wow, I mean, literally is changing my life, right? So this healing is, again, not only about letting go of what doesn't work, it's about refinding our deepest grounding as beings of planets of beings of this planet, of the earth. So, we each, it's going to be different for each of us, but this original ancestor, the way I'm shown it is that we each have this original ancestors who are from the beginning of time, and their ancestors, their energetic is pre-hurt, pre-trauma, pre anything that would have occurred, karmically, or in the time-space continuum. And I'm still learning about it. Like I'm scanning what it is that they're wanting me to say about it. And I'm just, just acknowledging I'm in the beginning of really understanding it for myself, but it feels important. They want me to name it, that this is a thing, and it's really, really, really key. And that we are going to be supported in this time to come into an understanding, a remembering, and a presencing of the gifts of our ancestry. That's the bottom line of it. And the fact that they are present here with us, and they want to be present with us. Those benevolent ancestors, the energetic of them as healing beings, deeply wise beings. They're wise like the stones of the earth, like the earth itself. They're part of the earth itself. Yeah, and they're needed to be remembered, and they're here with us. I mean, they literally are. So there's a whole different relationship that we can have with them, and I feel so strongly how this year is going to be supporting us to come into that remembering and that presencing of them. And again, this full moon is like a precursor to that energy, which is going to be so strong through the year. But again, especially next July, August, September. Yeah, and it's like a strength that we can draw on, right? Like if we're trying to just get rid of our past, that doesn't actually serve us ultimately, because there's so much good in our past too. It's not all like, it's like we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what they're trying to say is we need to be released. Like the Pluto and Capricorn energy is about releasing what doesn't work, what no longer serves, but it's also about bringing forward the deep wisdom and the structures that that naturally serve us and that are deeply present as us already, that we already know. We just need to remember them, right? And of course, then there's also beautiful energies of newness coming into this very Uranian, incredibly strong Uranian energy coming this year too. Jupiter Uranus conjunction and et cetera, Pluto going into Aquarius, all of that. So there's, but it's like it's a need to both presence the wisdom and the strength and the beauty of the past, and be a conduit of the light of the future, of all of it. But bridge them, help them all be the one, be becoming the one. Yeah, which is really what we're here doing. Okay, so that was a lot. These are really, really powerful, really beautiful times, really beautiful energies. Yeah, I think that feels complete. And so what I'll name now is what's coming up and what I would love to have you join if you feel called. So like I said, if you're hearing this before 10 a.m. Pacific on December 21st, please join us live if you're available for the free solstice gathering I'm holding. And if you're hearing this after that, please join us for the recording, because that recording will be available indefinitely, and that gathering is going to be channeled, like I said, and the spirit world is going to hold. I don't even know what's going to come through exactly, but they're wanting to channel a message to help us come into the essence of unity. And it's going to be in concert with the cosmos, with the star Polaris, our pole star, the energetic of the sun, the earth, our own light, the light of the cosmos in general. Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly powerful, and it feels like it's going to be like a spark, like an opportunity to spark into this new way of being in your nervous system, in your energy system, in your energy being. So if that calls to you, definitely please join us. The link is with the video. Then the next thing I'm holding after that will actually be on December 26th. I'm going to be holding a deep peace and healing circle called Healing in the Holidays. And so that is going to be also channeled. It's going to be a healing session, 90 minutes, where, we're just in a small group, and I will be holding space again for the spirit world to come through to channel some. Again, I don't know exactly. I never know before I channel exactly what's going to come through, but they basically want to hold space for us to deeply be nurtured in the time of the holidays, because sometimes the holidays, as we know, can be really amazing and fun and loving and all of that, and it can be very difficult. So whatever it is you happen to be needing, they're wanting to support that. And so I've actually created something called the Holiday Hug Package. You can take a look. The Holiday Hug Package includes that Deep Peace and Healing Circle, which is happening on the 26th, which will be recorded. And then there's some other resources in there that they wanted me to include. So if you're, either, let's say you're spending the holidays by yourself and feeling really lonely, or maybe somebody recently died and who's close to you, or maybe you're going to a big family reunion and maybe it's actually very exciting, but you also kind of feel like it might be draining for you in some way, or whatever it is. If you just want an hour and a half to yourself, or some other resources to help you navigate this holiday time, or any time, this is all actually very relevant to any time, then please join us for that. I would love to have you. And then, yeah, I'm still available to do some year ahead sessions. I'm available to do, just personal sessions in general, either astrology readings or healing sessions. And then in 2024, yeah, I'll say more about this probably in the next video I make, but I'm going to be essentially doing 4 main things. One is I will have some spots for one-on-one sessions, either, one-time sessions or ongoing work. I'll probably I have limited time, but I will have some time for that. And I definitely would love to do that with you if that calls to you. Then the big things I'm doing are the Infinite Soul Wisdom Astrology 101 course, which many of you already know about. Many of you are already enrolled. That's going to be starting on February 1st. And there are 4 guest speakers in that astrology course: Heather Ensworth, Julia Balaz, Kelley Hunter, and Chris Skidmore. And the link is here. I'll say more about that in another video. And I've said lots about it in lots of other videos. But that's super exciting. I'm so excited about that course. If it calls to you, please join us. If you're wanting to learn, basically, the bottom line is, if you're wanting to learn astrology or relearn astrology in a way that is coming from your soul, that's in concert with your own soul being, and you want to learn, the signs, the planets, the constellations, different from the signs, constellations that go with the signs. You're wanting to, tap into some of the stars, and you're wanting to do this in a very sacred, soul affirming way, where we're being held by the spirit world to both learn astrology, but also to rebirth astrology in a soul held way. Then, take a look. You can also contact me for more information. I'm happy to meet and talk about it if you're thinking you might want to do it. That's the biggest thing I'm doing in 2024. Then the second biggest thing I'm doing is I'm holding a year-long something called the Ultimate Divine Blueprint Awakening Journey. And that is going to be held live and recorded every 4th Friday of the month. So once a month, we're going to meet, and the spirit world is going to channel and hold space for us to be coming into our ultimate divine blueprint on an energetic level. And so actually the solstice gathering, in a sense, will be the spark, like the beginning of, if you feel called to do this either on your own or in this series, the energies of 2024 are really going to be supporting us to be coming into this energy body, this way of being in our energy body, our emotional body, and our physical body, our etheric body, all of our bodies, but especially our energetic body, that is based on the energetic premise of unity consciousness, as opposed to duality and separation. And so we're going to do this month by month by month over the course of 2024, starting, in January, the end of January. And essentially what the spirit world is wanting to do is hold space over time to give our bodies time, again, to integrate, to remember. We're going to go chakra by chakra. First, we're going to start with the whole being in January, and then we're going to go chakra by chakra. So we're going to have a month, with first chakra, a month with second chakra, a month with third chakra. And each of them will actually be integrated into the whole. Also, they won't be isolated, but would be able to really do kind come into the divine blueprint of your energy being on every level, but, you know, and then get to focus on one part at a time and integrate the whole by the end of the year. So, yeah, I just feel so much potential in 2024 in terms of healing on this energy body level. And so that's what that series is going to be about. And that series is, you know, relatively not all that expensive. It's about $45 a month. For the people in the Astrology 101 course, you get a 25% discount on that. For people in my membership, you get a 20% discount on that. And the membership is also the fourth thing I'm doing in 2024. So I have an Infinite Soul Wisdom monthly membership also, and that's just $22 a month. And that is something to join if you are wanting soul community. And you can read more about that. I'll put the link for all of those things here. I would love to have you join anything that calls to you, all of it, none of it, whatever exactly is right for you. I really, really honor and respect and would love to welcome you in to any of it that you would like. But certainly, at the least, join us for the solstice gathering, again, both live and or recorded, anytime you're hearing this. Yeah, and so much more to come. So thank you so much for listening. This was a longer than usual video, I think, and but there was so much there needed to, felt called to say. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And Mookie. There she is, summing up Cancer. The full moon in Cancer. There she is. That's the mascot for the moon. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. See you soon.